conversations about growth, trends, and the realities of building a business. I'm your host, Danny Louise Smith, business consultant, podcaster, speaker, and 2 times best-selling author. And I work with business owners who want to grow in a way that actually fits their life, not burns them out. And in this space, we talk about, well, we bring honest conversations, the things we're seeing in the industry right now, and we're learning as we go, and the things we're growing through. So that's the idea about it. Today I'm here with Jan Ockenden, and we're going to be chatting about breaking through the BS, and we probably will swear, to be fair, so BS bullshit. But before we get into it, I'd love for you, Jan, to introduce yourself so people can hear who you are, what you do.
Right, okay. Hello, I am Jan. So my new title is Firestarter. I am a Firestarter. And my whole ethos is lighting a fire in the souls of women who feel exhausted and are fitting into something that's not theirs. I've just written a post this morning about my own journey, and the phrase that I use is that it feels like you've got commuter amnesia in your life, so you kind of don't know where you are, but exhausted just from being, the person that you've been told to be in school to be your whole life.
Yeah, I love that intro that you had there as well, because I feel like I think a lot of people will resonate that, and I'm hoping a lot of people will resonate with today's conversation as well. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Like growing through it. So, topic at hand is breaking through the BS, and the reason I chose this in conversation with you was because it might have been a while ago now. I can't remember where we'd been or what we were doing, but I remember us being sat in Doncaster train station because we had a bit of time before the train came.
Yeah.
And while we were talking, we were complaining a little bit, weren't we?
Yeah.
As women do. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because I think we should be allowed to complain. It's like acknowledging it and being able to process and move forward. But in the middle of us both complaining, I was like, we've been really, really negative. Like, what is this bullshit we've been telling ourselves? But since then, I've realised that me and you were not the only ones. That I feel like in the last year, there has been such a shift, an energetic shift. 2025, a lot of people have said it was crap. I said it was crap. And I think the bullshit we need to break actually is that negative thought patterns, that negative thinking, negative talk. And from what I'm seeing in like how we're talking to ourselves, or when we're working on ourselves, whatever we're growing through and working on, whether it's business, whether it's life goals, whatever, I feel like people know what to do. They'll go and do the things to grow. We'll learn the things to grow, but as soon as we've done it, I feel like almost it falls out of our mind and we're not actually practicing what we're learning, and we're not carrying it forward. I don't know if you've seen the same, but I'd love to know your thoughts around this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, 2025 was an interesting year, and you're right, I do think I heard quite a lot of people talking quite negatively, and it's really hard, I think, when you sat in that to be able to see. I can look back on that now and think that year was exactly how it was supposed to be for me, because I did break through a lot of my bullshit and have come out the other side a completely different person. I can sit here
Yeah.
now and say, talking to you and anybody else who's watching, that I am a fire starter and that's what I was put on the earth for. But I do hear a lot of people being quite negative and not doing what they need to do and changing what they need to change. And I think one of my big things is I call myself a fire starter, but I'm a psychotherapist and life coach. And one of the things that I say to my clients a lot is, we can't just talk. You can't just talk about what it is that you don't like or what it is that you do like. You need to do something about it. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, how are you going to change it? What are you going to do to change it? A lot of the stuff that I do is kind of energy stuff and nervous system stuff. But if people don't put that into practice, nothing's going to change. You're not
No.
going to be able to feel safe to be who you are. So yeah, you do need to go and do the do. Um, which is a phrase that I really don't like. It's not my kind of, you'll know that, Danny. It's
I
not really
know.
my phrase, but it's true. You've got to do it. You've got to change it, because if you don't change it for yourself, and yeah, you might not be. I mean, you know me as well. That I'm a massively political animal. I can't change the world, but if I can change my corner of it
Yeah.
and the way I'm looking at it, then it makes a difference for me. And that energetically ripples out to everybody else.
I was exactly thinking that as well, that ripple effect, because if that's your little corner, it's going to impact the people surrounded by you, and then maybe it'll change them a
Yeah.
little bit, who will impact their people, and it does ripple out, and it does make an impact. And I like just go do the thing or do the do, and I do think there's a lot of inaction from people right now. I know
Yeah.
I have had a lot of inaction, almost made excuses, and this is something I've had to grow through. And not that they're not just excuses, the reasons why. Like for myself last year,
Absolutely.
like health and stuff, I was ill a lot, and I even got freaking chicken pox. Who gets chicken pox when they're 32? Well, my mother-in-law's just had them a few weeks ago, and she's in her 50s, so no, she's
Mm.
60 now, but yeah, so like she's had them as well, so it happens. And it's
Yeah.
how we deal with it, isn't it, and how we
Yeah.
move forward and grow through it. But when it comes to like just get up and take action, do something, I think sometimes there is resistance, and it's not as easy as saying it and to do it.
No.
But I think the power actually comes in acknowledging that. Why is it not
Yeah.
easy? Why is there
Absolutely.
resistance? And I
Yeah.
know for you, like being the person that you are and the work that you do, you definitely unpick the different bits, which means you unpick that bullshit so you can deal with it, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And sometimes it is just about you telling yourself you can't do it. Stop telling yourself you can't do it, and look at the times when you did do something. I'm just in the middle of writing an email about. I started it with animals. So the thing that I know that's the most predictable about animals is they're truly unpredictable, utterly unpredictable, and we are as humans. So I think what happens to a lot of people is that they get to a point where something happens, and it's happened to them in their life previously, and they know that previously they reacted like, I don't know, the reaction that they had was totally different from the reaction that they've got this time, and it stops them in the tracks, and they can't kind of see past that, so they don't know how to take that next step. And sometimes it is just literally about stop, let it happen, think about it, and then literally put one foot in front of the other and take
Yeah.
one step. And it doesn't have to be something massive. I
You
think
just had I had a song pop into my head then. I want let's stop,
well,
look and listen. And maybe we need to anchor that in as in those moments, to use that to stop, to
yeah,
look at actually the situation we're in, listen to ourselves, like what's coming up, and then obviously we can
yeah,
move. I
yeah,
don't know the next
absolutely,
lyric, so
yeah,
I can't go on with that.
yeah. And one of the things that I talk about quite a lot with clients is that we're taught that there's lots of bad emotions. That's bollocks. There's no such thing as a
No,
bad emotion.
we
All an
need
emotion
more.
is, emotions and feelings are just notifications. It's
Yeah,
telling you that something's wrong.
part of a human experience.
Absolutely, yeah. And if we didn't have them, we'd be really, we'd be bored for a start. Well, I'd be bored, but we would. We'd be stuck because we wouldn't know where to go next. But what it's about, I guess, is being able to sit with that and say, okay, so what you let me know.
Yeah, I
We,
think
we,
that's been dampened a lot though, hasn't it? And I think that's
yeah,
definitely impacting people because we're in such a busy environment now. And I think we know more about it as well, which is kind of even worse. Like we know how much the things in our environment can be
yeah,
toxic, can be affecting us, and our mindset and our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviours, and yet we're still in a world where we're not really doing much about it. I feel like there is a sense of people have been and people are, because there is a lot of awareness. But then sometimes you'd expect that with awareness comes action, comes
mm,
change, but actually it's not necessarily always happening. So we're not actually going anywhere with what we want to do. And I feel like I think it's kind of sad sometimes. There's so many people who um, are genuinely not happy and they're not doing anything about it. And
yeah,
I've never really understood that. And talking about like keeping this relevant as well, a book I've been reading this month is Made for More in Francesca Amber's book club, and one of the activities this week was really interesting for me. So it was about like future you, and I think a lot of us come across these exercises, don't we, where you answer particular questions.
yeah,
And when I was reading them, like I've got them in front of me actually because I'm on that page in my journal, but it's like, how do you spend your day? What activities do you engage in? What's your career? how do you interact with others, like favourite food, approaching meals and nutrition, responding to challenges and mistakes, like what no longer aligns, and how do you present yourself, and it's just things like that. Oh, and this was a really good one for me, like what brings the new you joy. And I found it really interesting because everything that I'd see that came up in the future, I was already doing, and I was like, oh, this is really good. Like I've never ever felt like that. There was only a couple of things in business and around money that came up for me that weren't there yet. So to have that much already there was great. But I think people are not asking themselves those questions often enough to really discover that. And even though this is very mindset based, thoughts, feelings based, it has a massive impact on how your business grows.
Yeah. There's something about safety though, I guess, as well, because I know from, a lot of the women, not all of the women that I see are in business. There's a lot of people who are employed, but
Yeah.
um, a lot of it is about safety, because there's certain things that we're taught as women from being very small, that,
Mm.
women are not supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to be loud. You're not supposed to be this. Don't lose your temper because it's not ladylike, and all that bullshit that we are taught. And so women become scared of speaking up. They become scared of not looking at where they can go next, or looking at where they can go next, or asking for more, actually, and
Yeah.
expecting to get more. Lots of women are really, really scared of that. That it just doesn't feel safe to them. And we can look at that and think, well, why does it feel why doesn't it feel safe, or how don't they feel safe? But we've been on a personal development journey, and a lot of women are not.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking particularly about women, because it's mostly women that I work with, but there is that kind of it's not safe to ask for more, because that's not how we're supposed to be. We should be good little girls.
Do you think it's showing up a little bit more in men at the minute? Because we
Yeah.
know, like, there's a massive mental health crisis with men, isn't there? And I guess they're not safe to ask for help because of the judgment, the fear, because they're a man and I'm a man and I should be okay, and men don't cry and all that. And I think there's different versions of it. It like, I think there definitely is, and it's scary how much it's still impacting people.
I think
Even
it's a really hard subject, and I think it's a massive subject because there's so much within it. And I saw something the other day. I can't remember what it was now. It was an American thing. It was somebody had shared a post that an American man had made, that basically saying that feminism had caused the male loneliness epidemic. And
um,
actually, again, that's bollocks. I can see why you would think that
yeah,
completely, because the more feminism breaks through, and the more women that get a hold of that, the harder it is for men, because they've got to break down everything that they've been conditioned as well. Um, and I guess in some ways it's hard for them, because why should they? They've got it comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
They've had it comfortable for so long that there's something quite privileged about their position, and it's really hard to break things down from that privileged position.
Yeah,
So I can see why men's mental health is starting to get a little bit harder, because they can see women doing the things that they've always been told men should do.
yeah. And I guess it does become quite threatening, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
almost feel incapable, which is it's not nice really to see it happening. And I'm hoping that there's some kind of shifts in the future. And this is where bullshit needs to be broken, doesn't it? Like those stories need to be broken. Let's bring it to business though. So, you are doing quite a few things with me this year, aren't you? So, one of them is speaking at Innovation Celebration in November.
Yeah.
Another one of them is that I asked you if you would come and be a coach inside the Boss Academy that I am opening the doors to, which is just like an all in one business program basically that I'm excited to build. And the reason for that was because I truly believe that there's so many things that business owners are dealing with outside of business that are impacting the
Yeah.
business, and then that impacts like their mindset, which then impacts how they're feeling, and it will impact how productive they can. It will impact every bit of work that they do with me, and I it's frustrating because I can't help someone unless they do that work. So I was thinking, how do I fix that? Because I can't do it on my own. So I was like, the first person that came to my mind, Jan, because you help people break through the bullshit. You help people break generational patterns. You help women when it comes to hormones and working with
Yeah.
their energy. And you do also help men as well. I know you've worked with men, but you're really big on that part of it for women. Um, and you help with all of that. So I'm really, really excited to bring this together. And I'd love to know like where you see, especially particularly like with women in business, there is bullshit they need to break through in order for them to grow.
Well, I think all of what I've just said really about that sort of conditioning that we've had over the centuries is that, women can't do this, that women, one of my big ones has always been that women don't have a logical brain. That,
Really?
yeah, and that, women, or strategical brain even, but particularly logical brain. And I don't particularly have a logical brain. I mean, you know me well enough. I'm quite scattered, but I can see that that becomes a belief, and they're the things that we need to break down. I think
Yeah.
women in business, that kind of belief that we've been fed all our lives that women can't do that. They're not strong enough. Women are not strong enough to be able to do that. And I read something the other day about it that I can't remember what it was now, but it was a kind of men versus women thing, and which is another thing that I think needs to break down. That you know there isn't there shouldn't be a man versus woman thing. There shouldn't. I hate that word, but you know what I mean. That it doesn't need to be like that. There's room
No.
for all of us in this world. And that's something else as well, that there's room for all of us and there's a lot of competition. And I think, that's a centuries old
Yeah.
belief amongst women. It's not even a belief, I don't think. I think it's just
I
an
I've
inbred
seen that
thing.
quite a few times. Like I think I remember having a client years ago who run a business, and she was doing okay, and she came to work with me. But when she came to work with me, obviously she was doing a lot with me, like sessions online, and at the time I used to run evening sessions, so she'd be doing them, and obviously she said to like her husband, I'm doing this, and I'm with Danny tonight, basically. And it became a thing. There was, oh, you're always with Danny, you're always talking to Danny, because we were doing real time things, talking in between. Anyway, she started doing really well with the business, and I think he started to become threatened,
Yeah. Yeah.
because she had not just me but other people around her helping her. Things were changing.
Mm.
She had this position of power, I guess, and control over a business, the money she's making, and it definitely felt threatened. And I later discovered that actually she left that relationship because it became controlling and abusive. So
Yeah.
I can see that the minute she started to make something, he didn't
Mm.
like it, and obviously he chose how
Yeah.
to react to that, which it probably is a lot of stuff that he needs to unpick as well. But it was really interesting seeing, and I see this dynamic quite a bit actually between in the relationships, not just with partners, but with children
Yeah.
or with maybe even
Parents.
other family members, yeah, where there is a control almost that
Mm.
impacts the behaviour of the business owner, and that is the reason they're not growing. And I see it a lot in many different forms. Like for me, it's been not wanting to. A really easy one I don't mind sharing publicly is like I didn't want to talk about having ADHD once I got diagnosed publicly because of family members that don't believe it's real, or back in my day we'd whatever, the sort of things that come up. So that was one thing I didn't want to share, but actually
Mm.
sharing that and acknowledging it for me would create growth, because it creates resonance with other people.
Yeah.
They find it relatable, and I think it would allow me to then work in a way that would suit my brain, which I do anyway. But yeah, a lot came up around just that one thing, but I know there's so many bigger things holding business owners back, and that's the piece I think that needs
Yeah.
to be unpicked, so people can go and do what they want to do.
The thing that was going through my mind when you were talking about your client was that also a lot of women don't feel safe to hold more because they've always been told that they shouldn't want more.
Yeah,
And I think that's a particular thing for women, I think, because and I see it quite a lot that there's a feeling of just not being safe around, being able to move, or having that capacity to be able to hold something. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that we need to break down, and the energy stuff does that, but helping women to feel kind of safe in their own body. That was there was one thing that comes up quite a lot, as well as safety in making decisions. And you know, as a business owner, we've got to be able to make decisions.
Yeah.
And if you've always had that, somebody else has to make the decisions, or you have to ask somebody else, or run it past somebody else, then how do you feel safe to make those decisions in your business? And I think I see that quite a lot with other
Oh, you're
business
setting me
owners.
off with so many things now. Because I mean, I
Yeah,
talked about, I've shared it with you and like a few people close that I struggle with being on my own, which is
right.
crazy because I'm never on my own. My kids might be in the house, but say like if my husband goes out, and like that self trust to take
Yeah,
care of everything. I've never been on my own ever in my life. I've never lived alone, so I think that's part. Well, I've looked into it and I know why now, and that's growth in itself. But I think it's safety in action of moving safely in it. Like
yeah,
for me, encouraging my husband to go out and see his friends, for example, was one of the things I had to, not that I was holding him back, because like I'm not going to control him that way, but he weren't really interested. But it's been interesting now how he is interested. He's got a couple of mates he sees regularly, and it was my test to myself to trust
mm,
myself while he goes off to bingo, because that's what he did the other week, or go for a drink with him or whatever he does. Um, and it's good to see for him, but actually for my own growth, like doing it incrementally and safely. And I think there's all kinds of areas in business that needs to happen.
yeah,
I think if anyone's listening and resonates to this conversation, and maybe like we've come up with ideas of things where we see it, or and you have if you're watching, where do you think we need to start when it comes to breaking through that bullshit we tell ourselves? Because I think a lot of the times we can hear stuff like this and go, yeah, but, and this, and this is how it is for me. And sometimes there is like valid things. There's some stuff, there's circumstances that make things harder. Like, I remember a couple of months ago, I read an amazing post online about how different it is to be a neurodivergent business owner.
yeah.
And it really, really validated me, because it just made sense of everything I've struggled with. Because previously, someone told me that it's not something extra that I have children who are and blah 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 and all of this. It doesn't make me different, and actually, I felt like it truly did.
Massively. That's
So
yeah,
reading that massively validated me. Actually, it does make me different, because regardless of all of the challenges, done it anyway. But when people realise that as well, it's how we overcome it and do it anyway. But when they resonate and they think, yeah, I need to do something about that, listening to us now, but then go off and maybe don't. How can we break that bit of? Do you think there's anything around that we can do, or break it, like that habit of not not taking the action that is gonna help us grow?
I think one of the biggest things, if you're that person who doesn't break that habit really quickly, is actually getting support.
Mm.
And even if that's joining, you know, a group, a networking group or something like that, so that you've got other business owners around who you see all the time, well, they're doing that. And it's because, again, I do wonder sometimes if that comes back to a safety thing. Well, if I do it, I'll do it wrong.
Yeah,
Or if I do it and it doesn't work, then I'll have failed. I think, that's quite a big thing for a lot of people. And particularly if you're neurodivergent. Um, and we both know that RSD is massive in
oh yeah,
ADHD, and that comes in lots of different forms. Even if you do something and it doesn't work, I think sometimes that can trigger those kind of feelings. Maybe not RSD itself, but it can trigger that kind of feeling. So
yeah.
I just think getting some sort of support, even if it's just joining a group on Facebook, or joining a networking group, or finding your business bestie, finding your business friends, and
I
having
think
them
people
to
who have
support.
the support with the perspective you all had as well, because I'm
Yeah,
seeing a lot of at the moment, people sharing situations that have happened to them in the bit that are going through in business, and I look at it and I can see
yeah,
that they don't have support, because, well, they do have support, but they've got people like, so basically there's a situation where, oh, this has happened to me, this is not fair, and loads of people, oh, this is horrible, they shouldn't treat you this way. But I'm looking at it and I can see the gap on what the business owners have actually not done. But they don't know that because they don't know probably maybe legal terms or agreements or communication or many different things in leading a business basically that they might need to do, or that they might have not done, that's created miscommunication, that's probably created the problem, because it's always down to communication, to be honest. And I can see that, and because the support they do have is people backing their side and no perspective view of the whole situation. So I definitely think we need perspective views and people who like have a perspective, because I know, like, totally unrelated to business, but it could be a business scenario. When I had a friend who was a bit undecided in what to do in a relationship, and she wanted me to give an answer, and I was like, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do, it's your marriage. And I don't think that's what she wanted to hear, but I have a perspective view. I'm not going to say stay, leave him, because that's not my life to deal with. And I think sometimes the support we have around us are like, oh no, you must do this thing, and actually it's not necessarily always the right thing.
I think that's right. And I think that's the thing, because for me, a best friend would tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah,
But-
I would.
But you know, the sort of friends that are more acquaintance type friends wouldn't necessarily always. Which is why I think I was talking about kind of business networking and things like that, because those business owners will have possibly done something like that before. They'll have come across that before, and they will have different perspectives. And most of us wouldn't necessarily be shy at coming forward to say, well, look, this is what we've done, or this is what's happened for us, and this is how we dealt with it, or this is the support we had in going through it. And might actually be able to put a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
And like you said about the legal stuff, you know, if you went to a business networking, chances are you'd come across somebody who does that every day.
Yeah, I think
You'll
you
be
can
able to put,
don't you? You
yeah,
always see someone in finances, someone in accounting, someone in, or someone might know of someone as well, so
Yeah.
you can easily pick. It's amazing what you can come across from just networking, and that's so that's one kind of support. You can go networking, you can get coaching in terms of many different types of coaching and therapy. So obviously the stuff that you do, the stuff that I do, which is nice. It's like harmony in it together, like strategy and the energy work, all comes part and parcel of growing a business, starting, growing, scaling a business.
yeah.
Is there any other things you can think of that people might go to for support as well?
I suppose there's lots of places that you could go to for support. Definitely some, you know, people like ourselves. My mind's gone completely blank now, because I'm sure there's lots of different places that people could go for support, isn't there? I mean, there's lots of free places as well, actually.
Yeah, there is.
There's lots of free stuff around that you can go and access. My head's just going, go on Eventbrite.
Well, events is great, so I'd definitely recommend Eventbrite. I've found quite a lot of interesting new events to look at, and I found one this morning, not on Eventbrite, but it came up, someone tagged it on social media, and I was like, oh, is that a networking group? So I've clicked through, gone straight to the website. I thought, right, I don't want to focus on this right now, because I don't want to be distracted from what I'm doing, so instead I saved the link to go back and look at, because it's Yorkshire based as well, which is great for us, because we're both in Yorkshire, and go out and meet new business owners and new people. And I definitely think meeting new people helps, because you just come across people with different experiences, different insights, different perspectives, and it helps you grow with where you're at. And I think what's really interesting as well, sometimes people think that nobody else will understand their challenges, but actually they will. One pivotal moment for me was walking into a business room with big business owners. I was a small fish, and I was worried about it, because I just thought nothing's going to relate here. But actually, when I was there, they had problems that I could help with, and I was like, that's really interesting that I could say, you know, have you thought about this and have you thought about that? Because I'd have never in a million years thought that I could advise someone that's essentially, you know, doing better financially than me, or been in it longer than me. And it doesn't always necessarily work out that way. There's support in different places, and I could offer that, which felt powerful for me, to be honest. I loved it. And I think finding those spaces as well where we can have that.
I think,
It's
yeah.
really valuable.
And the thing to remember as well, and I think that it's kind of what you were saying really, that it doesn't matter how big you are, how big your business is, you will always have a blind spot somewhere
Oh
that
yeah,
you can't see that somebody else can see. And that could be
definitely.
the person whose business is 5 steps behind you.
Mm.
That, you know, they might be able to see it clearer than you can. But it is good to be able to go and do that and speak to people in different businesses. My business is totally different to a lot of the people I know who are in business, just because of the therapy element, I suppose. It's
Yeah,
totally. I mean, it's completely different from most people I know who are therapists. To be fair, but you know, but I still learn and do learn regularly from people who are not in business. But I think the other thing about networking for me is it's not just about getting that support to learn, is it? It's about having somebody there next to you to walk with you, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So
definitely.
it's a good place to find your kind of business bestie who will tell you if
Which
you
we have done, haven't we? Like we've known each other for years now, gone to events together all the time, tell
yeah.
each other about other events, and shared ideas, given
Mm.
like advice or whatever, listen to each other, had a moan, like we said at the
Yeah.
beginning,
But,
things
but
like that.
over the years, though, we've also been able to say, maybe not in such brutal terms, but we have been able to say when we're bullshitting ourselves as well.
Yeah,
Which I think
definitely.
is, you know, that's the sort of support that a business owner needs, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
having somebody there who's going to hold your hand through the bad times, but also tell you if you if you're bullshitting yourself and that you can do it.
yeah. People need to come and learn and see what we're doing, don't they? So
Yeah.
this year you've got coming up, you're going to be part of the Boss Academy, which is amazing. You were speaking at Innovation Celebration, but in terms of you and your business, that's not connected to me. What have you got coming up?
So I'm relaunching my 6 month program, which is called Untamed. That's going to come with a little bit more than it had before. So it's a 6 month, twice monthly, one-to-one program that people come have a one-to-one session with me twice a month. And there's also a portal which has got lots of trainings and resources and things like that in it. So I'm relaunching that. I am doing a free masterclass to help that along its way, which is called CBAT to LFG, because I know that I was stuck in that, oh God, I can't be arsed doing this. Generally, not necessarily as a business owner, but kind of generally in my life, particularly when I
Yeah,
went through menopause. And what I needed is that let's fucking go energy. So there's a few steps on how I got from one to the other. So there's that coming up as well. And I also said this out loud for the first time yesterday, that I am actually thinking about opening up limited spaces, 2 or 3 spaces, to work with me sessionally. So on a kind
oh,
of one-to-one basis that's not sort of, you know, it's not the therapy that's come through the directories or anything like that, but it is my kind of hybrid version of therapy and coaching, which will be it'll be a little bit more supportive, but also I will call out your bullshit quite
yeah.
firmly.
I liked that the theme of your masterclass really resonates with today's theme so much. So if you are
Yeah,
the person that keeps thinking, oh, I can't be asked doing this, and do you know what? I think sometimes we feel like we can't be asked, even though it's something we're really excited and passionate about.
yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah,
about how do we get from that let's fucking go attitude. So I think that's going to be a really interesting. Definitely go. If you're watching, check out Jan and go check out the masterclass and everything that she's doing, her program
yeah.
Untamed, and also the Boss Academy if you want to work with her in there as well. Just saying, because it will be brilliant. Because the way that we bring together, it's just going to be exciting to see the transformations people go through.
Yeah.
Um, so that you can work on the mindset and then do the work with me and just get what they want out of their life and business because that's what it's about basically. Well, thanks,
Absolutely.
Jan, for
Thank
joining me.
you.
Joining me live. Jan is actually our guest next month as well. I've already forgot off the top of my head what next month's topic was. Breaking generational patterns. That was it,
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
it
So
was.
next month we're going to be talking about generational patterns, breaking those because that is what Jan is all about. And there'll be a lot of patterns that come up in life, in business work that people need to break through in order to grow. So we'll definitely dive into that, which I'm excited about. Anything you want to add before we round up?
Um, I don't think so. No, but people can come and find me on my social media as well.
Yeah, I feel like we're both very chill today. We are. We might have some fire next month though when we're talking generational patterns
Oh
though.
God,
So
yeah,
I think
definitely.
there'll be a lot there. Thanks for joining us if you've watched us live. This has been Growing Through It with me, Danny Louise Smith, and Jan Ockenden. And come again next month, we'll be live talking generational patterns, and we'll always go and have deep, meaningful conversations behind the scenes about what is happening in real time for business owners and how we can grow